Hello, ladies and gents, and we are into game one, round one, best of one format. Sudden death rules do apply here. Any mistakes can be punished, and you'll be dropping out of the Fnatic Play RaidCall Cup number 2. So let's have a quick look as to what's going to start off here. Both teams, of course, have a fairly decent level 1 team fight. You know, Shen with his taunt can really turn the tides here. Morgana has the Dark Binding. You've got Udyr. Has he taken the first point into bear form? He actually is going to leave this one off for now. He's going to go with the Phoenix stance instead. So maybe not going to be too bothered about that level 1 gank. Having said that, though, here they come to bot lane. Phoenix form does do AoE damage. Perhaps that's the reason why Udyr is going to go for that one first. A sporadic defense of their jungle right now from Millenium, and Corki has to be oh so careful. If Morgana opens up into this tribush with a Dark Binding, it's almost certain to hit, and if Corki gets caught out there, he will be going down very, very quickly. So Corki has to be so careful. It looks like Acer are going to wait for the golems and red buff and the like to spawn before they push in. Here comes Morgana. She has landed the Dark Binding, and surely Corki's going to go down. He's being forced to flash, and the Valkyrie. So he did take Valkyrie level 1, and that right there is going to save his life. So nice from Corki, but of course he was forced to burst that flash. Could actually come under contention from Udyr, who's pushing very aggressively into the jungle. And due to the fact that now Corki has to go back to spawn, that's going to allow Team Acer to steal some of this farm. So Wraiths will be going down. Big Wraith has already been dropped here. Udyr looking to pick up the red buff on top of that. So Soraka and Corki are going to be moving their way back to bot lane. They cannot do anything about this, as Shen, Nautilus and Ryze are all out of the picture. The red buff has reset though, and that's going to be a bit of a facepalm moment right there from the Polish guys of Team Acer. Going to take them a tiny bit longer to take down the red. Smite was used from Udyr just to take that one out. And they have just been spotted from the ward in Tribush. But it's not going to make any difference to Udyr, who is just going to pull back to his own jungle, and he's not going to bother himself at that bot lane. So let's have a flick over to Nautilus. He must have known that Udyr had gone in for the counter jungle, so he's going to do the exact same. He's going to take down those Wraiths. He's going to have Morgana and Udyr in hot pursuit though. But he's quick enough just to pull this one back. The difference is though, Udyr was there to finish off the Wraiths, and as you can see right now, in that blue jungle, one Wraith is still standing, which is going to hinder the respawn time of the big Wraith, the really important one that gives you the maximum gold and XP. So Udyr is in a slightly more comfortable position right now. Plus the fact, of course, he did steal that red buff, and Nautilus was only able to nick a few of those Wraiths. So, top lane. This one could be a fairly difficult one for Shen, with Yorick consistently pushing and harassing, but of course it's really down to the execution at hand. It's down to the two players and how they fare off against one another. Right now, early signs dictate it's very close. Shen on 12, Yorick on 15, so nothing really glaringly jumping out at me there. Bot lane, just going to have a couple of hits between the two support of Soraka and Janna. Just throwing a few auto attacks at one another, nothing to write home about. How is the farm looking down there? 17 to 21. So again, nothing to really write home about. Now Corki is going to try and push back towards his tower, get as many last hits as he possibly can. But for me, it's going to be interesting to see how these two junglers try and gank, because both of them have great ganking potential. Of course, with Udyr, that bear form gives him a movement speed buff increase, and also will get a stun off if he lands it. And on top of that, you've got Nautilus with the depth charge once he hits level 6, the dredge line, which he currently has a point in. He has taken a point in everything, so he's got Riptide, Titan's Wrath, and also dredge line up. And he looks to be lurking around that mid area. Going to come in for the gank now onto Morgana. Will we be seeing first blood on the cards? Dark Shield has came up from Morgana, and that's going to do enough. Black Shield, my apologies, is going to do enough to stop the onslaught from Ryze and also Nautilus. Ryze has absolutely no mana remaining, only enough for maybe one spell, and he's not going to be able to do a great deal against Morgana, who was on about 50% mana. and full health on top of that. So Nautilus doing what he could. He did manage to use an ability from Morgana, but it's not going to be enough to change the tides of that mid battle. So Nautilus is going to go and take those golems now. Going to try and get those enough gold to pick up a few gold per 10 items. You'd expect him to get Heart of Gold, Philosopher's Stone, take it into perhaps a Shariah's Reverie, which gives him a lot of obviously movement speed, burst movement speed, so he can land those dredge lines and the depth charges as well. And in those team fights, he's definitely one to keep your eye on. Corki is getting the upper hand here, as you'd expect, because he does have that Soraka alongside him just to keep spamming him with health and mana, whereas Janna, you know, she's very useful with the Eye of the Storm, but apart from that can't do a great deal. So they have taken the heal at the bot lane on Ashe, but Corki also has one himself. Both supports going for the same summoner spell. It's going to be Exhaust and Flash, but here comes Nocturne. Not Nocturne, sorry, Nautilus. They are going to get the first blood onto Janna. I was about to say, could he have missed his opportunity with that dredge line? The important thing, I guess, from Team Acer's point of view is that their AD carry didn't go down, and it was their support, but Ashe is going to be forced to recall. There is no ward coverage there, so she wasn't sure. Perhaps Nautilus was still lurking in the shadows in that bush, and because the creeps are so far away from her tower, there's no point taking that risk and gamble. So she has recalled, going to be getting back to that lane around the same time as Janna. She goes back and buys up 2 Doran's Blades, so going to give her 160 extra health, 20 extra damage, and 6% extra lifesteal. Going to be able to keep her in the lane a tiny bit longer. Corki and Soraka are just about to recall, so they waited a tiny bit longer, getting some more creep farm. Ashe on 49, Corki on 47, so that gank was so important. Here comes one at top lane as well. Udyr looking to reply in the only way he knows how to, and that's with raw aggression. Nice taunt there though from Shen. Of course, it does reduce the amount of damage of that both Yorick and also that Udyr we're going to output onto him. And in the meantime, of course, does give him a nice dash away back to his tower, so he's not going to go down. And on top of that, he is level 6, so if he really felt like he was in a horrific position, could potentially have used that ultimate onto one of his allies. So even with that first blood, the gold difference is pretty much only 200 to 300. So obviously, first blood does give you 400 gold. That means that Team Acer are slightly better, and I mean just slightly better, on the farm as it stands right now. Let's have a look at mid lane, or having said that, hold that thought, as Shen will be taunting onto Udyr. Instantly gets his turtle form up, which does give him that shield. And here comes Yorick. Oh, they're going to try and set another gank up onto Shen. Nope, doesn't look likely. And Udyr is going to pull back to his golems. So let's have a quick look at some of the items that have been built up early on in this game. Rise with the Catalyst of the Protector. You are going to have Mercury Treads instantly finished off from Morgana alongside a Doran's Ring. And Corki did get the Berserker's Greed. Going to have more action. As I'm mentioning Corki, his support is coming under all kinds of fire. Soraka dangerously low health. Volley will land, but look at both these AD carries. Such little health between them. Janna's going to try her best to take down this Corki with auto attacks, but here comes the heal. The heal bait perhaps working. No, it won't on this occasion. And Eye of the Storm was used on Janna just as a precaution. Didn't want to risk getting taken down from that Corki. So a lot of push, a lot of shove, but no kills at the bot lane as it stands. Ashe and Janna opting to push back to that tower. But Corki's going to be fine just getting these last hits. So on creep score, Ashe is ahead by 7. After 9 minutes, it's a bit of a gap, but nothing too serious. But you have to take into account that Ashe did get a gank at bot against her, and Soraka actually fell, and she had to recall as a result. So she would be slightly further ahead, if not for that Nautilus gank earlier on. But you do have Corki with Berserker's Greaves and the Doran's Blade. You're going to have more action at bot lane once again, as Udyr is there for the gank. He also has an early Oracle at level 6, so he's going to be taking down that ward coverage in the bushes. The Nautilus is going to try and return fire. He also has an Oracle, so 2 early Oracles from the 2 junglers. Enigmas and also Zarus are going to be trying their best to get rid of that vision coverage. Yorick is going to be harassing that Shen once again with the ghouls, and this is what I was talking about before. Shen is a very tanky champion. He is able to get away from most situations, but unfortunately the harassability coming out from Yorick, especially with that Tear of the Goddess, is going to be a real hindrance for Shen to put up with, especially going into that mid-game. As soon as Mana Moon is finished off from Yorick, he is going to be very, very difficult to get out of that lane. He's going to just be able to stick in there, dig his heels in, and get as much farm as he possibly desires. Let's have a look at his farm right now. He's on 82, 83 now, and Shen is on 65, so you can definitely see there is a fair gap starting to open up there. 10.5 minutes through this game. Just saw Ashe flashing red on my screen. They'll push back to that tower. They should be just fine underneath there. Can't see Corki tower diving at level 7. Not in this kind of circumstance against the Janna. If Janna just lands one good Howling Gale, it could be all over for Corki. So he is going to play this one safer. Here comes Udyr towards the bot lane. Is he going to try and set up a gank? His bot lane is heavily pushed back, but with Ashe on that kind of HP, I don't see him coming in for the gank, to be honest, because Ashe will go down very, very quickly. And she is actually going to recall. So Udyr and Janna are going to be coming down here. Udyr has just spotted that ward in the bush, but he is going to pull back to his tower, and he's not going to overextend. It's kind of a slow, steady game so far. Just the one kill in it from Nautilus from a gank at bot lane. Apart from that, it has pretty much just been the farming phase that you'd expect. A BF sword has been finished off onto Ashe. Corki is going to do the exact same thing, but Ashe is slightly ahead on that durability in lane. She does have the 2 Doran's blades to Corki's 1, but Corki's attack speed is going to be 25% quicker at the moment. Here we go. Shen could be going for this kill onto Yorick. Depth charge has been used as well, and oh dearie me, Nautilus went for the dredge line, but a creep got in the way there. Oh, one of the ghouls from Yorick blocking that one off, and that could definitely have ended up being a kill, especially as Nautilus has that red buff. But unfortunately it's not to be, and amongst all that we're going to have some action towards the dragon as well. Arrow has gone in from Ashe. Shen tries his best to ultimate onto Ryze, but it's not going to be enough. He's going to put himself in harm's way. Here comes Udyr, going to be trying to slap that Shen down. Exhaust has been popped, but Ashe is going to come in for the kill. So she's got 1 kill, 1 assist. Corki on full health. Could prove to be a bit of a nightmare. Onto Janna here. Going to get caught from that Howling Gale, but look at this damage that he's doing. Can he finish it off? He doesn't have enough mana to pop off any abilities apart from just now, but the Black Shield was up and he popped his flash to try and secure that kill. So that's going to be a 1-for-1 exchange at the end of all of that. But Millenium do have the upper hand. They have 2 players on full health, and Soraka is able to heal up Corki time and time again. So 3 players from Millenium going to be trying to take down the dragon. And unfortunately from Team Acer, no one is even close. So this dragon will be going down very comfortably. This will give Millenium the slight gold advantage. There's not going to be much in it. There you go, 200 to 300 gold. And as I said before, Mana Moon would definitely be on the cards for Yorick. He has finished that one off now. So let's have a look at some of those items as we have a bit of a lull in the action. Morgana has picked herself up a large rod. On the other side, Sork Shoes has been opted for. In fact, just 1 second, here comes Corki again onto Janna, just missing that missile barrage. Wouldn't have been enough to finish her off either way. Here comes Nautilus, Udyr out of nowhere. The Bear Man could be picking up a kill, indeed he will. Now I'm going to be trying to pick it up onto Corki. That's a nice stun. Ashe Arrow comes in, this should surely be a dead Corki. Double kill coming out from Udyr. That was a bit of a strange one from Nautilus, pushing in there with very low health. Also Corki on low health and low mana, so not too sure about showing your face that early on. Morgana is going to land a nice snare on towards Ryze, has about 50% mana remaining. Ryze on pretty much nothing. So a battle of the snares is kicking off there at top lane. They're 2 tanky, durable characters trying to bump heads and see who comes out on top. Ryze should be going down here, Dark Binding underneath that tower. He's going to try his best to survive this one. Very nearly takes down Morgana in the process. So nearly a 1-for-1 exchange. But unfortunately, Acer, once again from Millenium's perspective, will come out just ahead. They're starting to mount a bit of a gold lead as well. 19.3k to 17.8. Shen on low HP, flashing up on the red. On the left of your screen. And here comes Yorick, potentially going to try and pick up this kill with the Ignite. Easy in the end from 760. And again, I just have to feel that Millenium staying around for a bit too long, playing a dangerous game. Sometimes it works out for you, and sometimes it simply doesn't. On that occasion, 760 is very much grateful that Shen stuck around to find out. So Rice has gone back to spawn as a result of that death earlier. He has picked up a blasting one, so Rod of Ages will be coming out shortly, you have to feel. And Morgana has added to that large rod. She only has 620 gold, so looks like she could be coming in for the steal onto red buff, but instead he's going to land the Dark Binding and an Ignite as well. Nautilus trying to run away, but he's going to run right into Udyr once again. It's going to be a kill for Morgana, who picks up that red buff from the corpse of the deep sea diver, and he must be feeling pretty hard done by right now. Just chilling out in his own jungle, suddenly Morgana out of nowhere, and he will be getting dropped 6 foot under. And Morgana picks up another kill, her second of the game so far, has 2 assists on top of that, currently has 4,700 gold overall to Rise, who has 4,500, but here comes Soul Shackle looking to add extra insult to injury. The Soul Shackles has been popped. There's Udyr once again. He's been so active so far in this game. He has 3 kills and 3 assists. Out of 8 kills, he has been incredibly influential in this game thus far. Ashe is coming under heavy attack at the bot lane from Corki. Could they be turning this one round? Heal has been used there. Howling Gale comes out as well. Exhaust back onto Ashe. Backwards and forwards at this bot lane. Soraka could end up going down here actually, but trying to save her AD carry, using that heal onto herself, giving herself the additional armor. Here comes Shen though, trying to turn the tides of this battle. Beautiful Monsoon, but not going to do enough to deter that Shen, who lands the taunt anyway, and the Ignite on top of that. And now Janna's going to get completely spit roasted from the rest of the team. Corki picks up his double, and perhaps that's somewhat of a comeback on the tracks right now from Millenium. They aren't that far behind on gold, 5 kills behind, and they do find themselves 1 tower behind as well, but 24.3 to 21.6, it's not going to deter them too much. They can come back from this, still early stages of the game. Yorick is going to pop his ultimate there with the view of taking down that tower as soon as he possibly can, and in that sense it has been mission complete from him. Here comes Morgana from backside, going to try and land a gank onto Shen. Yorick seems a bit slow on the uptake though, maybe communication error. Black Shield has been used. Here comes the Soul Shackles as well. Can they land the Dark Binding underneath the tower? Yes they can. Is Shen tanky enough to survive? No, he isn't, and he'll be going down for yet another Morgana kill, who now suddenly has 2,000, nearly 300 gold to play with, so she can go back and pick up pretty much whatever she wants. Maybe an early Zhonya's Hourglass, not too sure. Only time's going to tell that. A fairly optimistic Dark Binding onto Nautilus, but it is going to push him back. Level 13 against 9, but here comes Rise from the backside. Depth Charge has been used. Morgana looks around for a bit longer. Soul Shackles is down. Do they have enough damage though to pick up the Rise? Yes they do, and Yorick manages to survive. The 2 ultimates from those top laners were down, so you did have the Omen of Death had been popped before to take down that tower if you remember earlier on, and Morgana, her aforementioned Soul Shackle, still has about 30 or so seconds remaining on the timer, so nice play from them considering, and that's going to be an extra gut punch there to Millenium. Bot lane, Millenium has been going pretty decent. Let's switch over there. Just saw Corki catch a Howling Gale, and a fair amount of damage from Ashe. Here comes the ultimate from Ashe. It does miss though underneath the tower with the tower aggro. This could be a kill actually from Corki. He was slowed down. Eye of the Storm on top of that. The heal has been popped. Ashe trying her best to escape. I'm not sure Corki has the mana or range to pick this one up, and Monsoon being used as a precaution just to make sure that Ashe was safe. So nice play from Janna. Eye of the Storm, the Monsoon and the Howling Gale all connecting to perfection, and Ashe will be very grateful pulling back to spawn. But it's been pretty much one-way traffic for Team Acer overall, apart from at bot lane. Bot lane is the only time when they've looked ahead here. Corki 153 creep score, he's on 211. Comparing that to Ashe's 113, 150, slightly ahead. Everywhere else though, they're definitely behind. Mid is currently looking like a 0 for 4 for Rise. On the flip side, Morgana 4 for 0. Now going to be looking to push this dragon as they know they're definitely stronger at this stage of the game. As I was predicting, Zhonya's Hourglass would be finished off. Indeed, it has been. It's going to give Morgana just a little bit more punch and even more difficulty from Millenium to take her down in those team fights, because she can just go in with the Soul Shackles, then go invulnerable for 2 seconds. It's going to be very difficult to counter her right now. Very, very strong. She also has the blasting one, which she could pretty much build into whatever she pleases. And you are going to have Rod of the Ages finished off for Rise. So a big discrepancy between those two mid characters. How is the gold looking? Morgana on 6.8k. In fact, hold that thought. We are going to have a team fight kicking off here. Nautilus trying to pull his way back to that tower, but it is on low health here. May not work out for them. But looking to push this one back, as suddenly there are 4 players, and that's going to be Nautilus taking down Morgana, who is caught from the snare. That rune prison from Rise. And Udyr being forced to use that flash just to escape. In fact, he didn't flash, beg my pardon. He used the bear form with that movement speed, as he very nearly got caught out from the Nautilus dredge line. So they do get a fair amount of chunk of change from Morgana's death. Of course, they did get the shutdown, so Nautilus is going to be fairly happy about that one. As I was expecting, the gold for 10 items have been bought up from him, both Heart of Gold and the Philo Stone. On top of that, he's got Ruby Crystal and a Cloth Armor, so he's going to be fairly tanky for this stage of the game. Of course, Udyr got that Oracle at around level 5 to 6, and he hasn't died yet. So for 7 levels, he has been just going around the map, taking down ward coverage here, there, and everywhere. He's also been very active in the jungle and ganking. Can he pick up another kill here? The Ash Arrow is not off cooldown. I'm fairly sure if it was, she would have fired a hopeful arrow down that bot lane, hoping to catch the backside of Corki or Soraka, and they would have capitalized on that one alongside Udyr, but not to be on this case, and Udyr is going to pull back into his jungle. We've mentioned a lot about the kind of ganks in this game, and this is one thing that I was trying to highlight at the beginning. These two junglers very much gank heavy, and it's been reflected in this matchup so far. You've got Nautilus has 3 kills that he's been influenced in, and Udyr on 6. So awesome stuff from both of them. Here comes Yorick, level 15 against Rise, who's 13. This is a dangerous position. The Dark Binding has landed from Morgana, 3v1 underneath the tower. Nice flash use from Rise, but it's not going to be enough. And the tower aggro was here, there, and everywhere. I think hitting all 3 players, Yorick, Morgana, and also Udyr. So he didn't even have that working in his favour. It's just not Arc of God's day today, it would appear. And he moves on to a 0 for 5. He's just in the wrong place at the wrong time once again. And he does get dropped. 4.2k gold in it. It's maybe going to be more than that in a couple of seconds. This mid tower should be falling. So yeah, 5k on the dot now in favour of Team Acer Poland. And they have pushed down both those mid towers, so the map control is definitely in their favour. If they get a couple wards down here with Udyr, with the Oracle, they can actually pick up the Baron fairly comfortably. Shen is just chilling out the top lane. He can afford to do this, of course, with Stand Unite, but he is going to opt to recall anyway. So even though Yorick and Janna are hot in pursuit, they're not going to get anywhere close to Shen. There we go, he has already got back to spawn. And he has finished off that Sunfire Cape. Also has a recurve bow and a null magic mantle, so he's going to be going towards that wit's end. Going to try and make him a bit tankier and do slightly more damage output. Spirit Visage has been added to Yorick alongside a Phage and an Amplifying Tome, so perhaps a Trinity Force is on the cards if it lasts that long. Bloodthirster has been taken up from Ashe, and she has full stacks there, plus 40 attack damage and 8% lifesteal, and also a Zeal on top of that one, so maybe Phantom Dancer will be added to her weaponry very shortly. Let's have a look at the opposite team. Corki's finished off his Infinity Edge, so he's not going to go the Genji route of a fast Trinity Force. You are going to have the Cloak of Agility, the Vampiric Scepter, and finally Nautilus has managed to pick himself up an Aegis of the Legion, which is going to be very important in those team fights, but is it going to be enough? I'm not too sure. Again, Shen is all by himself. But, you know, I said this before, Shen can afford to do just that. As soon as things start to get hairy for his team, can just ultimate on in, and suddenly it's from a 4v5 to a 5v5. But this has to favour Acer right now. They're just pushing the top, they're pushing, sorry, not the top, the bottom, they're pushing in the opposition jungle as well. And it's very difficult to see how Millenium can pull this gold deficit back in their favour. Shen's going to try and take this top tower, but in doing so, he's leaving his bot tower very vulnerable and his team as well. Here comes the depth charge. Look at that raw damage output though from Millenium. Soul Shackle's going to be used. This is where Sonya's Hourglass really comes into its own. It's going to pop that one underneath the tower. Could be going down regardless. He will take down the Rise. In fact, sorry, not the Rise, the Corki. Rise will return fire onto Morgana, but look at that. Yorick and Udyr, dangerously low health. Shen, full HP. Rise as well. Just Soraka falling below the half mark, but it's not going to bother her too much. She's the support at the end of the day. It's not such a big deal if she's the cannon fodder in those team fights. But, as it stands, it's going to be a 1-for-1 exchange. The mid of Morgana and the bot of Corki both will be benched for about 10 or so seconds. Corki's going to be coming back in 2, Morgana in 8. And Morgana moves on from 5-4, but you have to feel that that was really nice work from her, pretty much saving her team from additional deaths by really pushing underneath that tower, using the Soul Shackles, taking the momentum out of the wind and the sails of Millenium, and forcing them to do something about it. They had to move away from that, otherwise of course they would have been stunned, and in doing so, she allowed the rest of her team to pull on back and get to safety. Dragon is surely going to be respawning shortly, considering a kind of activity around the area. Yeah, Dragon has just came back into his pit. Nice pull in the direction line. Shen taunt straight back afterwards, but Udyr refusing to go down. Here comes Soul Shackles once again. Is it going to be enough? Zonya's Hourglass popped as well, and Shen could be going down. Not too sure about that focus though. Don't want to be taking Shen out first. And here he comes from the side. Depth charge used onto Ashe. He's forced to run away. Nice monsoon from Janna, but it's not going to be enough. Corki goes onto her. Now the action has been focused onto Yorick. The shutdown comes into effect. And Udyr once again manages to survive by the skin of his teeth. But that is going to be a dragon to Millenium. And they are closing that gap very quickly. 37.2k to 39.9. And that was really awesome stuff from Nautilus. He used the depth charge onto Ashe, forcing her to run away. She could no longer play any kind of pivotal role in that team fight, and in doing so, it was a massive chunk of damage alleviated from the Millenium armor. So you have to say, Nautilus got it spot on. He also engaged nicely with the dredge line onto Udyr. And you also have to kind of question the focus though from Acer. I saw 2 or 3 of them attacking Shen for a few seconds there, and Shen's not really the first player that comes to mind when you think of eradicating a threat. Either way, that's in the past. Hindsight is 2020, and these players have to make a split decision. 12-8 is the scoreline now. 3-4 on towers. 2k or thereabouts in gold, but still anybody's game. Corki 325, 207 creep score to Ashe's 217, so 10 less, but he does have kills and assists to his name. 3 kills, 5 assists to Ashe's 1 and 4 respectively, and it's pretty much going to go back into that farming phase, and I would expect the Baron dance to come out pretty shortly here, where both teams kind of just feel each other out. It's kind of a dance off, a rap battle there on the Baron, and whoever gets that first pick or whoever gets the first moment of brilliance will probably pick up the kill, and Baron as a result will be in the driver's seat here, and you are going to see 2 players from Team Acer starting to push their way forward, trying to get into that Baron contention, one of which is Ashe, really important, integral part of that Team Acer lineup. Shen again is just going to be farming at that top lane. We saw Darian in the CVC doing a great job with Shen on creep score, but unfortunately Shen is slightly behind where he probably wants to be. 218, but he has the Heart of Gold. That Wit's End has been finished off, and Chain Vest has been added to his disposal. Very standard build that you'd expect to come out from Rise here. He's got the Rod of Ages, the Glacial Shroud, and the Negatron Cloak with the Ruby Crystal and Sapphire Crystal, so Banshee's Veil should only be a few moments away. Having said that though, they're going to be starting on Baron. Millenium have opened up here, but they are going to be pulling back, realising that the ever-present threat of Team Acer was on the way. Hawkshot used from Ashe, and of course Udyr has yet to fall after about 30 minutes in this game, so he's still got that Oracle. He's going to be running circles around Baron, making sure they clear every single ward possible out there. He's going to take another one down. Is this going to be bait, though, from Millenium? Are they going to come in strong here? Ash is out of position, so had they pushed in that split second, they could have had relative success, especially as Yorick was lurking around the top lane. On top of that, here comes the Shirai's Reverie with Yorick at top. They're going to try their best to take this 4v5. Beautiful play, though. Depth charge has been used. Soul Shackles on the flip side from the Morgana. Lots and lots of damage being exchanged, but Yorick has not yet joined this battle. Here he comes, flashing in to make sure he plays more of an integral role. Corki takes up Ash. Yorick has tried his best to mount some kind of a comeback from that previous lapse in judgment, but lots of kills being exchanged, 4 in fact from the Millenium side, and just the 1 from Team Acer make that 2 actually, as Morgana went down on top of that, trying to take down Shen to get the team ace. And Yorick's mentality, better late than never. So you have to say that even though Millenium were a player up at the start of that team fight, they got absolutely crushed. As soon as Yorick joined the fight there was only one way it was going to result in. Morgana and Ash fell very quickly. Morgana felt compelled to push on in and use that Soul Shackle, and again I can't help but feel that was the contributing factor as to why they won that team fight. I think Millenium are going to be scratching their heads a tiny bit here, wondering what just went wrong. They made the right decision in my opinion. They pushed in when Yorick was out of position. They did go in when Team Acer were quote-unquote weak, and unfortunately it didn't really pay off for them. Now could be picking up this Baron. Here comes Nautilus though for potential steal, and Monsoon will be used just to push that smite back for Nautilus. He will catch the depth charge onto Udyr, but Udyr fast enough to get away from that one. So again, Monsoon being used incredibly well from Erotic, been having a good game thus far. He's 0-3-10. But doesn't really reflect his performance so far in this game. Rabadon's Death Cap has been finished off from Morgana, and a Trinity Force there from Yorick. So a lot of the items that we were expecting are coming in here. Phantom Dancer onto Ash, the Zeke's Herald finished on Janna. She has the Cage's lucky pick, the Heart of Gold and the Philosopher's Stone, which is going to go towards her ward coverage of the map. And you're going to see Randuin's Omen finished off from Shen, so they're going to try and get in quickly there, pop off the Randuin's Omen, slow down the opposition and try and pick them to pieces. You're going to see a second Glacial Shroud built up on Nautilus, and you're also going to have a Randuin's Omen on Udyr, so very similar item builds being exchanged here between the two teams on some of those characters. Aegis of the Legion on Udyr as well, so he's going to be such an important role for his team. He hasn't died yet, still, somehow. Seems to be the last man standing for Team Acer every single time. Banshee's Veil has been finished off onto Rise, and Dragon is back up again, so potentially we could see another team fight kicking off around this area. All 5 Team Acer players moving hand in hand this time, and it doesn't look as though Millenium are interested, and you can't blame them. Acer do have Baron. They are stronger right now, no doubts about that whatsoever. And Millenium just want to kind of bide this one out, turtle it up for a little while, maybe wait till Baron runs out, I should say, and then maybe try a sneaky engage and get a couple of team fights in their favour. But the problem right now is that it just seems to me, unfortunately, Millenium don't have enough damage. I mean, you have to look at their lineup. Rise, he does a fair chunk of damage, but he's not exactly doing the same kind of CC and overall pain that Morgana is right now. On top of that, Nautilus isn't exactly known for his damage output. Shen, similar. He's not going to take down 5 players. So really, it's all down to Corki. And then on the other team, you've got Ash that can put out a lot of damage. You also got Udyr who can do the same, and Yorick with Mana Moon and Trinity Force is going to be really hurting the opposition. So the damage does not seem equal right now, and Team Acer are definitely starting to get the upper hand as this game goes on. This inhib tower will be going down. Ash Arrow has came in, depth charge used onto Yorick. It's not going to do a great deal though. Shen using his ultimate onto Nautilus. I don't think it's going to make any difference, as suddenly Acer just starting to pick apart the opposition. First kill will go onto Ash though, as Shen is being focused once again. Will be falling any second now, surely. Yes, he will. Ashe picking up 2 kills, as of course Yorick did pop his ultimate onto her, so she comes back from the grave. Morgana taking out Corki, and that's going to be a 1-for-3 exchange. A 1-for-4 exchange now make that, as Corki, did go down right at the end, so Nautilus is all that remains. And again, it's one of the beauties of Yorick. This should be game going to Team Acer. Remember, this is best of 1, so Millenium will be getting dropped out of the tournament here. It took about 35 minutes for Acer to finish this one off. It looked like Millenium could potentially come back in this, but a couple team fights lost in a row, one of which was around that Baron, made all the difference. 21-11 at the end. Team Acer do take this one purely on the basis I have to feel they had much more damage and they were much tankier on top of that. So that's going to be round 1 done here in the Fnatic Play RaidCall Cup number 2, and we'll be back very shortly with round number 2 itself. So we've done round 1, round 2 next. I'm derping all over the place. Join us soon. We'll have another game up for you.